Breaking news out of Houston. It seems like the Texans could very well be hiring Lovie Smith as their next head coach. This is an interesting one, folks. Alrighty, NFL fans, back at it with another one. It's your boy Shifty, another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. This one goes out to Niner fans and NFL fans near and far. Everyone is welcome here. Tonight, we are talking about the breaking news of Lovie Smith potentially being hired as the next head coach of the Houston Texans. Really a surprising move. I think a lot of people thought that they would go in another different direction. Some very surprising rumored directions such as Josh McCown, which would have stunned the NFL world. But I think Lovie Smith is actually a pretty solid option to go with. Let's talk about him. Lovie Smith, he's been an NFL head coach for 11 years total, 9 of which and best known as the head coach in Chicago. He did win head coach of the year back in 2005. He also coached in Tampa Bay for a couple of years. Lovie Smith, very much a defensive-minded coach. Here's the great thing for Lovie Smith, should he get the job, is that they actually have a very, very experienced, a very, very good offensive mind already on the staff in Houston. That's Pep Hamilton. I believe right now he is the quarterback's coach, and he could potentially, as part of the rumors with Lovie being the head coach, is that Pep Hamilton could then move into the offensive coordinator role, which would be something very ideal for a Houston Texans team to keep that consistency in the coaching staff, considering their roster and just where they are at as a franchise is very much in limbo. So Davis Mills as a rookie showed a lot of potential. You keep the same offensive coaching around, maybe he develops into a very solid starter. What happens with Deshaun Watson? That's a huge question to answer, whether Deshaun Watson could be cleared of any allegations that are against him, what teams could be potentially willing to part with a bunch of draft picks, especially for Deshaun Watson. He is a franchise guy and he's still very young. So there's so many question marks surrounding this franchise. I do like the fact that they went with an experienced guy as opposed to a Josh McCown, which I think to throw a guy like Josh McCown, who's just basically just retired as a player, into a situation like this is, to me, it would be a disaster waiting to happen. So I think going with Lovie Smith is a great call. Here's the thing. Houston, they have about $18 million or so in cap space. Should they trade Deshaun Watson, that would free up another $24 to $25 million in cap. So they'd actually have a lot of cap space to work with. No doubt they would get a bunch of draft capital for a trade for Deshaun Watson, assuming he's cleared of all allegations. But yeah, that could really get this franchise going in a positive direction. It's one of those things where Houston are definitely a couple of years away from competing, and I think their fans know that. I think just the NFL world knows that. So really, there's little to no pressure for Lovie Smith coming into this situation, and he's very familiar with the situation. He knows all the players. He's just coached there for the last year. So I think this is a good move for Houston. They have a top 3 draft pick. They have some money to spend in cap room, and I think they're actually a franchise where, yeah, it's probably going to be a couple of years, but I don't think it's a bad move to go for Lovie Smith. I'd love to hear all the NFL fans, love to hear your guys' thoughts on it, because this is an interesting hire and one that I think has really just come out of nowhere. People were expecting a lot of different people, perhaps. Again, we talked about Josh McCown, Brian Flores. There's a lot of different talk about Brian Flores in the NFL right now, but we know he's interviewed with the Texans, I believe, twice. So if they actually now move ahead with Lovie Smith, be very interesting to see the direction that they go in. And just let me know your guys' thoughts on this possible move. At this point, I'm going to say 2 things. You know what it's going to be. The butt counts, and I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side.